Hello, I'm the Anime Viewer 66, and today we're going to be taking a look at Touken Ranbu Hanamaru, the anime. The plot is as follows. In a certain citadel, there are many legendary swords that have been given human form. In human form, they train hard to become legendary warriors, to be able to fight the forces of evil, more particularly the forces of these demons that wish to go back in time and destroy history to their favor. But it is up to our warrior friends to be able to go back in time as well and fight these forces of evil, and hoping of all fates that they are able to stop them and that they themselves do not corrupt the timeline. So it's basically an anime version of Time Squad. Well, despite how interesting that setup is, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, if you're going into this show hoping for a lot of combat and fighting, yeah, look elsewhere. The majority of this is slice of life comedy. Not that that's a bad thing, just you probably need to know what you're going to be getting into before you watch it, because I went into it thinking that there would be at least a fair bit of combat. Not really at all. The art in this was very colorful, and when they wanted to have their fight scenes, they did it very well. This show also has a weird thing of depending what kind of sword these swords were in their past life, is what their now human forms look like. For instance, the long swords or the heavier ones or whatever, they tend to have a more bulky build. And like the little short swords, the daggers and whatnot, they appear in human form as basically children, which is kind of weird. And for some reason, they have a lot of the guys, and pretty much every character in this is a guy. I don't even think there was one female character out of the bunch. But despite that, some of the guys do look very feminine. And depending on if you like that kind of thing in anime or not, you may or may not like this art style. Because even our main characters, even though they don't exactly look female like a lot of the other so quote unquote male characters do, they still have very feminine aesthetics. Like one particular one paints his nails quite a bit, another one wears a little hair thingy or whatnot, just little things like that. An artistic choice that you probably either will like or dislike depending on your uh, art style preference. I should also mention, even when they did have their quote unquote fight scenes, none of them were challenging. Like, it seemed like they just swept through all their enemies pretty quickly. Even on, like, the very last episode where they do introduce what are supposed to be the ultra buffed up characters that can fight you on even terms or whatever, they still seem pretty weak overall. They took them down pretty easily. I know that may be a slight spoiler, but it's just another thing to reiterate. Don't come to this show expecting any kind of like amazing action, because even when they have it, it's subpar. At the end of the day, I give this show 3 stars out of 5. It is the very definition of mundanity. It is a normal, middle of the run show that isn't too bad, but isn't too good either. Whenever I saw it in my queue, I really wasn't looking forward to watching it, but as I watched it, I wasn't bored and I found myself being entertained, but not overly so. So until next time, I'm the Anime Viewer 66. Thank you, and good night.